So then for the next speaker, who I miswritten his name like multiple times in multiple variants, but it's Nooitmeer instead of mooi weer, which in Dutch would not differ that much.
Yes,
I would say. I would say. And I would describe you as like the headliner because you were introduced via Serge, and we announced you in our like early the earliest announcement of the event, and then we got all kinds of emails about Finnish winter holiday and people that couldn't make it in the Netherlands and just want to make sure that we tape this to see this talk. So.
Awesome.
Even the room completely stayed for this. So
nice.
Cherwin, sorry.
Thank you all for doing that.
Good luck.
Okay, is everybody still awake? So okay, my name is Cherwin Nooitmeer. I'm a DevOps at Spotify, or like actually I'm an SRE at Spotify. We do DevOps at Spotify. SRE stands for a Site Reliability Engineer. That is. Like saying like we are the guys, like if you have the Titanic, we put the coals in the thing to make it work. That's what we do, and if we don't do it, then nothing works anymore. So today I'm gonna talk about DevOps at Spotify and how we do that, and what our approach is here. And you're gonna see a lot of overlap with the things that the four speakers before this actually, the fourth speaker before this actually talked about. A little bit of agile, a little bit of what we do, Scrum things. I'm not a Scrum master, still I work at Spotify, so it's like a really nice thing that we do there. So, this DevOps, anyone have an answer for that? Does anyone know? Who can tell me what DevOps actually is? Because we talk about it, but I don't know. What is DevOps?
I would say at the core, or at least it starts from the dialogue between developers and operations side, so they both understand the problems and pain we have.
Yes, yes. So what just got told here is that it's, let me rephrase that, it's like bridging the gap between developers and operations, right? Yeah, okay. So I thought, let me Google that. Like what is it now? So 10.5 million results. I don't know why that is. Like, is it that hard? Do we don't know what DevOps is? I don't know. Like, I see a lot of explanations and people try to explain what it is. I'm like, yeah, okay. So let's see, Wikipedia. Okay, let me actually read out loud what it says. Wikipedia, I love Wikipedia because it tries to explain everything. So DevOps is a software development method that stresses communication, collaboration, information sharing, and web service usage, integration, automation, and measurement cooperation between software developers and other information technology professionals. Wow. I'm like, sure. Okay, so let me make it clear. Like, I think DevOps is actually streamlining the business. That's what it's all about. You want to streamline the business because if you have developers solving problems, you have operations solving problems, but they're the same problems or the same kind of idea. We can sort of work together and make a better solution. So we can deploy faster, we can work faster, and we know actually what is going on here, right? So how do we make it work? And with we, I mean Spotify, of course. So I talked about this a little bit, and it's adding value to the business. It's all about the business. Without the business, you don't have DevOps. Without the business, you don't have money. So it's not about technology per se. It's just a means to an end. I think a lot of geeks, and I did it as well, focus too much on tech. You should also focus on how do you actually make value or add value to the business. It's also about changing the culture. If you want to have DevOps, it's still, you add value to the business, you use the right tools, but it's not only about that. Those, the tools are also a means to an end. What you actually want to do is work together, so as the sir here just said. You want to like bridge that gap. You don't want to have that. You don't want to have like, I make something, throw it over the wall, and the system administrators are going to deploy it. And if it doesn't work, I throw it over the wall back to them. Yes, that's not how it works. So what Spotify does is we make heterogeneous teams. That is, we make teams of people that are comprised of different skills. So you have, as I'm an SRE. When I started at Spotify, I started at a team called a squad. Actually, I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later. I started at a squad called Basis. We manage the databases at Spotify, and then you have an SRE, and you have some other backend developers and people with different skills actually trying to make the database better or make the database administration and use better. So we also have like front ends. If you want a Cassandra database or Cassandra system, actually, what you do is you click in a front end and you get your cluster. You just give it the name and your cluster is done. You don't have to do anything, no administration and stuff like that. Also the following, you build it, you own it. So if you have a squad making something and they make something work, then and they put it in production, then you own it. You can't throw it over the wall. So you have to do your own standby, your own on-call and stuff like that. You're not gonna let anyone else manage it. And the nice thing about this, I see a lot of other companies do that, is that you see incidents going down like it's hot. It's insane. Like you're not gonna have incidents if you make your own bugs. You're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna make this really resilient to failure, because stuff is gonna break. But you're gonna make it resilient to failure. And this is a tool so that you actually feel the pain. So what we also do at Spotify is actually create a healthy learning environment. And what do I mean with that? Like, if you don't learn, how can you innovate? I see no one doing the same thing day in and day out and then thinking like, oh, okay, I'm going to deploy this and now my day is going to be better. No, you have to learn. You have to approach things in new and different ways. We have some ways to actually encourage the learning. Like, if you don't do it, you know what happened to Blockbuster? I think you guys know Blockbuster, or maybe you don't know it. And if you don't know it, exactly, that's what happens. You just get obsolete. Now we have Netflix. So what do? We have the Spotify Hack Week. This is the 2013 image. Couldn't find a better one, but okay, nice. Spotify Hack Week, what is that? Are you guys known with Hack Week, the concept on its own? Like, so what we do is 2 times a year. It's 1 week that everyone in the whole company, and I do mean everyone, human resources, sales, it doesn't matter. Of course, also like the engineering part, but sales also does this. So we all make our own projects. You can do it by yourself. You can have some friends or I don't know, other coworkers come in and like actually make something nice. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to do with Spotify. You just do something. We see that this encourages people to actually share things. You see that people work in specific ways, and then you're like, oh, that's cool. How did you do that? Or what tool are you using here? And that's really good. And also, legal or human resources get to know how we work and what we do. So we have more learning by osmosis. And in the end, you can also show off what you have done. So this is a picture. This is in New York. How we share ideas. When you see everyone sitting there, and then they're talking about how they actually do this and what they're going to do and stuff like that. Another one, this is my office, the Stockholm office. So Spotify orders 1 billion pizzas. You have to see the boxes, that's like insane, like an insane amount of pizza. And then we just talk about things and like cool things to do. Okay, so you have been doing that. What's also very important is celebrating failures. I see in a lot of companies when something goes wrong, it was like, yeah, this developer did that. Or yeah, you didn't deploy it correctly. Or etc. I don't know what the reason is, but you shouldn't point the fingers. What you do is when there's a failure, you're going to be proud about the failure. You're going to say like, okay, something happened. It shouldn't be happening, but you actually found a bug. If something breaks or you did something, you force push to your Git repository. You know that's not nice. But like, why is that possible, guys? Instead of saying you shouldn't do that, maybe you should have something in front of it, like Garrett. Because I actually try to force push to Garrett, and it says like, yo, you cannot do that. I'm like, oh, oops. I thought it was my feature branch, but it wasn't. So, but someone else already made the mistake, so I don't have to I didn't do the same thing, and that's really nice. So, I really like to stress that you shouldn't be angry or upset or pointing fingers when something goes wrong, because this is IT, this is tech. Everything will go wrong. The next thing that we do, or that I want to talk about, is alignment versus autonomy. So what is that? I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. Like, does anyone know what I mean when I talk about alignment versus autonomy? If you don't, that's okay, because I'm gonna explain it anyway, so don't be afraid. Anyone want to try it out?
No, I can try.
Okay.
I think it's kind of the conflict between teams that can make your own choices and maybe have a bigger picture and align the teams to the bigger picture.
Exactly. So what Serge is saying here is about teams working together to get like the bigger goal, or like to go to the target that you want to go to. So I'm gonna say this immediately. Everyone knows Dilbert. This is wrong. Like this is not how you actually do something. You know this? Like the manager is trying to be hands-on, so he stands behind you and say like, "No, go click here, move the mouse, do that," and then he's like, "No, you're doing it all wrong." Like, this is stupid. Like, please do not do this. Don't try to be hands-on. Like, the people that work with the tech, they know how to do things. That's why you hire them. If you hire people that can't do this, then your hiring process is wrong. You need to think about it. Think about the people that you hire. You're not gonna hire a random. You don't want to hire drones, because then you won't get a good business. So this is a nice chart or graph. So we have alignment on the y-axis and autonomy on the x-axis. So what happens when you have low alignment and low autonomy? You get like micromanaging organizations. I've worked there. Like, that's not where you want to be. You get an indifferent culture. People are just like, I'm just doing my job. I just do what people tell me to do. And that doesn't work. We already know that. We already know that. So what happens if you have a high amount of alignment but not a lot of autonomy? What you get is an authoritative organization. So everyone is aligned. Everyone does the same thing, but you still like have to do what is being told. It's not about if you have a metaphor for this. So if you need to cross a river, the leader will say, "Guys, we need to cross this river," and your team has to decide how to do that, because they are the builders. They know how to build things. You're not going to explain to them how to build something. You're not going to tell your cook in a restaurant how to cook your filet mignon. You're not going to do that. You let them do it. So where I want to go, actually, I'm going to talk about a little bit about low alignment and high autonomy. Then everyone does whatever, and then you don't have any direction. So someone built X, someone will Y, someone will Z, but actually you wanted A, and now no one is nowhere. So what you want to have is a high amount of alignment and a high amount of autonomy. So people are striving to reach the same goal, but they are aligned. So they are like very precise with what they do, and they have a very good direction, and that's where you want to end up. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the squad that I mentioned before. So you have something like a squad here. So a squad should feel like a mini startup. It's self-organizing, cross-functional, and 5 to 7 engineers. We try to keep it less than 10 at least, and it's stable. You see here, you have here a PO and a C. So the PO is a product owner. The previous speaker talked about that. It's the guy that actually owns the product. He's the responsible for the thing that we're doing. And you have there the C. You guys call it Scrum Master. We guys call it an Agile Coach, because we don't like the master thing. It's still Sweden, and it's culturally like not good to say like master. Like we don't do that. We have like a consensus-based society. So that's how they do it. So you have 2 leaders, and one knows about this, the agile approach. One is an expert at agile, really good at agile, knows how to talk to people, knows how to communicate, knows how to keep retrospectives. How many people do? How many people have retrospectives? Do you guys have retrospectives? Very nice. How many people do postmortems? Yeah, the amount goes down already. You see that? But agile coaches know everything about that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the postmortem. Whenever you have an incident in production, what you do is you have a postmortem after the incident. What went wrong? How can you prevent this? And then you have a timeline, and then you explain, and then you see that so that everyone knows what went wrong and that it never happens again. At least that is what you're trying to achieve. So the cross-functional, that's the heterogeneous teams I was talking about. So you have like multiple chapters, and the chapter is a group of people with the same kind of skills. So you have a group of people that are Java developers. You have a group of people that are SREs. You have a group of people that are front-end developers, etc. So what you want to do is you want to pick one or more of all of these groups of people, put them together, and let them make a product. That's how you get like the mixing. That's how you get there. So this is how Spotify actually looks like. You see this? This is a very open structure. So when I walk past and I see people talking, I can just join in, take a seat, and talk with them. I can see what they're doing. I can see exactly where they're going and how they're working. So I can ask them questions. I can work with them. I can embed with them if I wanted to, or I can have like a little one-on-one if that's necessary. Another picture. You see the wireframe? There are no cubicles. Everything is open. So you still want to have a separation, like this is your workplace, but it's still a little bit like open. You can go. It's like very inviting, because I want to go there and I can just poke my hand through the thing and say like, yo, how you doing? Shake his hand. I can talk to him. This is awesome. That's really nice, and that's how we try to do this. What I also want to stress is like communication is communication is key. It's okay. So if you don't change the culture, communicate, then it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. You can have all the tools that you want. You can have like you can do the Scrum thing, you can do the Kanban thing, you can have Trello and Jira and do like as many retrospectives as you want, and etc. etc. But if you don't really communicate with people, if you don't have that, like but that's a Swedish thing. That's why I think Spotify is so good at doing the DevOps thing or the Agile thing, because we are very good at communicating. It's a consensus-based society. It's a consensus-based culture. So I want to stress, like for example, if you have something like Slack or HipChat, and you only use that, everyone can see what you have been saying, what you have been doing, etc. So you really want that. Also another example, Git. Git is a really good tool to communicate. A lot of people don't see it like that. But when I look at Git, I see it as a way to communicate to people communicate to people that are distributed between time and space. Because I can do a commit, I can give the correct contact, the correct context, and someone else in New York can read that. He pulls my commit, he can read that, and can give like a comment on it, or I don't know what he wants to do. But also, when someone comes in like 5 years, comes to work with Spotify, he can look back at what I've been doing in 2015. So I can communicate with him. I can say exactly this line is here for this reason. This is also part of communication. So like, think about that. Think about how you communicate with people. And if you have the communication, and if you have the collaboration, I think the tools will default into place, and it's actually the only way to actually do that, and you will converge to the same kind of way of working. Okay, 17 minutes. So, any questions about this?